Well, good morning YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all having a quality day. My name is Joe, this is Big Joe Trucking. So today I plan on joining one of my colleagues today. His name's Dan, or aka Krusty, as everybody knows him as. I'm going to be interviewing him about what is like, or what life is like as a tramper. So it's not something that I've personally got experience with. I do plan on eventually doing some tramping like now and again, but it's not something I've had thoughts about doing full time myself. But it'd be good to share with you and for those interested or listening on what life is like as a tramper and what to expect. So hopefully we'll catch up with him shortly. Right, so I'm joined with Dan, aka Krusty. We both work together at so, Dan, introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, my name's Dan. I've been at just over a year now, and Joe's going to be interviewing me on just a bit of like a perspective of tramping, because I've tramped for around 5 years. So yeah, yeah, go on then, mate.
So where did you start tramping? Like, who did you start tramping with?
I started tramping with A.W. Jenkinson Forest Products. Yeah, just up and down, you know, around the UK, around England. Did a couple of trips up into Scotland. Yeah, it was really good actually to start off with there, because you went like everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just, it was the same old places, but very far and few between. You know, like we go West Wales, like London area, Scotland, like...
Yeah, I'd love to go to Scotland.
Yeah, just all over, like Cheshire and like all the counties, really. We never really went down to Cornwall though. Like, I'd say the furthest south we went, probably, I can't remember now, but not as far as Oakhampton, you know.
Ah, yeah. So, what made you want to become a tramper, or can you like let everybody know what is being a tramper?
Well, so a tramper is basically, you know, you're working away all week, staying in your truck. Yeah, you're away for 4 or 5 nights a week, and you don't go home basically.
Yeah, you're just living like a tramp.
Yeah, that's it. I don't actually know where the definition of, I don't actually know the definition, you know, like where the word comes from.
Yeah.
But that is, as far as I know, that is the correct term for someone. That's what we're called. Like, if you see job adverts, is tramper.
Yeah.
You know, tramping. But no, I was working at MJ Church on 8-wheelers, and the money was alright, like Liverpool, but not enough to. It would be very hard to save for a mortgage.
Okay.
So I was literally driving along. I'd done my class 1 whilst I was at churches. And I just thought, I'll get my class 1 just because I got it then.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, if a tidy, cushy job comes along, I'll go for it. And then I just had a brainwave. I thought, oh, now I got my class 1. If I go working away, I'll be earning a lot more money, and then I can save for a mortgage. So my long-term plan was to tramp for about 5 years till we save that deposit for a mortgage.
Okay.
So my missus was like, well, yeah, if we're going to get a house out of it, then she like basically authorised me, like she was happy with me to do that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like, say, partners or wives or whatever, they'd be like, well, no, I don't want you to, you know, working away all week. Like, you know, you're not going to be home, and like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But no, fair play to my missus. She said, yeah, like, crack on, like, do what you got to do, basically. So
Okay.
yeah, I just took the bull by the horns and.
And would you
went
say
for it.
the money was obviously substantially different from being like a day driver to
From
a tramper?
yeah, from what I was doing, let's say I was earning around, let's say back then 450 a week in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking home then. Well,
Was that after tax?
yeah, that's
How
right.
long
Yes.
ago was that? That'd be about 2020.
No, longer than that. Well, yeah, 2009, 18, 19, for argument's sake.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably about 2018.
So what was that?
Yeah, because
that would
that's
have been
when I
like
done.
pre-COVID.
Yeah, because that's when I done my class 1.
Okay.
Well, before COVID, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was tramping, I was earning an extra, say, £250 a week, let's say. So I managed to save £1,000 a month. So that extra bit of money,
Yeah.
I was saving quite hard, you know.
Okay. And obviously, it sounds like you would have been driving around or tramping during COVID. How did you find that?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, it was.
So let's say at that time I was working in the ambulance service, so
yeah,
I didn't see much of a difference from my working pattern apart from having to wear a lot more
yeah.
PPE than normal.
The really nice thing was, and people who was lorry driving around COVID, they'll vouch for this. The services were very eerie. They were literally, everything was closed apart from like the toilets and the showers. And traffic wise, it was a dream. Like my planner, shout out to Callum at DK Barnsley's. Well, he's not a planner, he's the son of Darren Barnsley, but
Yeah.
you know, he's one of the directors. He would plan my work, and you would know that if he said, "Oh, go to so-so scrapyard," whatever it said on the sat nav, you knew that you'd knock 5 minutes off, or it'd be smack on. Like, you didn't have to account for any traffic, and fair play to those guys. They must have got so much work done that, you know, those years, shall I say?
Yeah.
Those months, years.
Yeah, to be fair, we managed to complete a lot of jobs as well.
Yeah.
In a different
Just,
context.
the roads
but
were so dead, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a funny time.
And a nice thing was, I think it was mainly moto services. They, on certain days, they would do free hot drinks, like free coffee for lorry drivers.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
like
I
basically
think
say
they did
like,
the same for emergency workers as well. So
Yeah,
shout out to
that's
motor
right.
services.
yeah, so they were like all key workers.
Yeah.
But any other time, we're just the lorry driver that gets in everyone's way, you know.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't change. So, how do you find like eating and drinking and stuff? And so, because obviously we're in a lorry now, we're in my truck, and this would be normally used as like a tramper's vehicle.
Yeah,
So-
come the end or the last few years, it took me a while because obviously you come up with different ideas, but come the last couple of years, I'd say I absolutely nailed it.
Okay. So what did you start off with? How did you first start?
I'll tell you what, when I first started, I used to take like for breakfast, for example, I'd have some milk in the fridge and I'd
Yeah.
have like Weetabix.
Okay.
And
Cereal can become boring though, can it?
yeah, so I can't. In the end, I think I just used to. I can't actually remember now what I used to have for breakfast, but I used to just have like, you know, my cupboard full with food,
Yeah.
and I'd just slide it open. Cause I was driving a Volvo, so I just slide it open,
Yeah.
and that's where I'd like my ambient food, and then the next one I have my fridge. I used to just like.
You can tell you work in logistics when you use the word ambient.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, it's all over. Yeah, ambient. Yeah, I used to just like stack and then like stop for breakfast, like stopping services like McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
You know, I never.
See, now this is where the trucker's diet is.
Well, this
boring,
is it.
see.
You know, I've always said that. I've always said that people are all lorry driving. Oh yeah, like you put on weight, you get fat. But no, like in any job, you can put on weight and get fat.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't matter. Like your diet is your diet. Like that's what makes who you are.
To be fair, I put on quite a bit of weight when I was working with the ambulance service, and it's not necessarily because like the job was a lot more active than this, and it's a lot more active than previous jobs, but it's a number of different reasons. Like you can find yourself eating for comfort.
Yeah.
You can find yourself being lazy when you get home.
Definitely. Like if I was doing like a 15-hour day and I could have like a nice meal in the fridge or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because where you're driving so long and you're on the road and you got plenty of time to think.
Yeah.
That's what I love about tramping as well. You're doing longer journeys. You got that time, like mind space to think. And I used to be like, you know what? I really fancy a kebab, and it's like no matter what happens, nothing's getting in the way. Like I'm getting a kebab. You know?
You could have some really healthy food in the
and
fridge,
you feel like I'm treating myself. And this is like when it gets on a bit of it's like a rocky road.
Yeah.
Like diet wise. You'll be driving so many hours, and it's like, no, I've really earned this. Although you haven't, you've just been sat there bloody just driving a truck, like not even burning any calories. But it's like, no, I'm gonna treat myself to kebab, and I'm gonna get a kebab, you know. So I'd say once a week I used to have like a takeaway on the road, stop in McDonald's one night or get a kebab. It was never healthy, you know. but yeah.
So there are options, and it is possible to eat healthy on the road.
Yeah, like I don't try to consume so much crap. Like I did start, you know, like I'll take steak. I had an inverter. For those of you who don't know what an inverter is.
Well, getting on to that, actually, I wanted to talk about gadgets, gizmos. So
all right, we'll chat about that in a minute.
Oh no, this would be a good one to get onto. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I had an inverter, which means you can basically get household appliances.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd recommend is a travel kettle. You really need a travel kettle because a household kettle pulls about 1500 watts.
Okay.
Watts?
Yeah.
Like
the only thing is, a lot of travel kettles say, so many people I've spoken to, they'll disagree and say you want a household kettle. So you're saying obviously it'll pull more power.
Yeah, a household kettle would pull say 1500.
Yeah.
And a travel kettle, which is still on the 3-pin, not the 12 volt or 24 volt you plug into the dash.
Yeah.
This is one on the 3-pin, so it's used for like caravans and stuff.
For those that don't know, a 3-pin is a UK plug socket.
Yeah, that's right. Opposed to the 2-pin like
European, yeah.
So you just plug it in. I used to have the inverter, so that runs off the battery. Ideally, you want to keep the engine running because otherwise it'd just drain all the power from the battery.
And that's why your employer absolutely loves you.
Yeah, that's it. So, I used to have an extension lead. So you got like, say, you could plug 4 things in as long as you don't draw too much power. So a travel kettle will pull like, say, 700 watts or something, which is basically like half what a household kettle would pull. I used to have a microwave, that come in handy. Try get a small microwave like...
So, for example, I'm lucky I've got a microwave actually in the
truck.
The lorry,
which, although, if you was to buy like a cheap microwave from the supermarket with like the the spinning tray on, they do actually work a lot better than these microwaves. I don't know if you know, Joe, but these microwaves, do you know how much they cost?
No, I don't know.
They're around about, let's say, 400 to 600 quid.
Really?
I know it's around the £500 mark, but to be safe, like it is literally 400 to 600 quid
for a microwave.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
And I don't know how they actually like work, but they heat from the bottom. You haven't got like the fans or how.
To be honest, I don't know how that one heats, but it takes a lot longer.
What I'm saying is, let's say, for example, I got a spag bowl I cooked last night. I got that in the fridge.
Yeah, you know he's Bristolian when he says that.
Yeah, spag bowl. For those outside of Bristol, that's a spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah, bolognese.
That will take, I'd say, 8 to 10 minutes in my microwave in the truck. But in a household like a standard microwave, that's like it's halved or like 4 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, I had I think I had like a 800-watt microwave, and that done the job. Like, it does work better if you've got a microwave built in. You just got to deal with it. Like, it's just going to take longer. But
And what else would you recommend having?
oh, I had an air fryer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
This seems to be the common mod con at the moment. I see everyone on TikTok and YouTube using them.
Yeah, I prefer it to a microwave, but a microwave's good for like ready meals.
Yeah.
But saying that, I have actually emptied a ready meal into an air fryer and just heat it up that way and just take it out, give it a stir.
Yeah. Okay.
And
because I noticed now you can buy like air fryer, like you can buy adaptations to like cook like even things like stew in an air fryer.
Yeah, that's it.
So
and you'd all laugh at this, but I have actually thought, and I've spoke many a times, if you can get like a little slow cooker, just leave it in the passenger footwell and just have that on all day.
See, I don't think that's a bad idea because
I don't know if
appliance.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the safest thing or not, but
well, I know I can imagine having boiling like curry.
We'll let the police and DVSA decide on that. They probably class it as an insecure load, but no, because I actually started off with many people really, like people still do it. I started off with a camping stove.
Okay.
So leave that on the dash, but then, funny enough, Jenkinson's, they had a policy where you weren't allowed to put stoves on the dash because it heat up the windscreen and they were getting cracked windscreens.
Yeah.
But when I had a stove, I'd put it outside, like on the catwalk. But then
which would make more sense.
Yeah, but then you
right
could
above
only
a fuel tank.
Yeah. Well, that'd be alright. But you can only use that then when it's dry, you know?
Yeah.
Because
So
otherwise,
you know,
like carbon monoxide poisoning and all that, like you don't want to gas yourselves out.
Because that's the one thing, like when you're cooking inside your cab, because this is your living space as well, it's going to smell.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's another thing as well.
And it's like if you're cooking anything like fatty, so I've seen someone cooking sausages on a gas stove in their window.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And I'm just thinking, well, that's what going on the windscreen.
I've just been camping, and you don't realise, like, just cooking bacon on a gas stove in a frying pan.
Yeah.
I said to my missus, I said, we're gonna have to take this away from the tent a bit, because you don't realise it's literally spitting all over the table, and that's going over the tent, and you ain't really gonna get the grease out of a tent, like the fat of the tent. So yeah, I wouldn't actually recommend a gas stove. Like nowadays, get a decent inverter and just use like electrical appliances basically.
There you are, top tip.
Yeah, so travel kettle, a microwave and an air fryer.
How about things like laundry?
Well, I used to just take enough for the week.
Okay.
Obviously whatever you wear, you know.
There are people that don't have that like availability.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere they can regularly go?
What you could do, which I don't mind sharing with you people. I had a slight accident. I pulled up with a mate, Aztec West for a kebab. This person knows who he is, and we had a kebab, and I just thought, oh, bit of wind, so fart. Anyway, I sort of followed through, but I didn't realise. So what I'd done is I just heated up a bit of water in the kettle. I think I used a bit of fairy liquid or something, just swirled them around. Let's just leave it on the dash. But no, I've never actually washed my clothes on the road. But I imagine what you do is get just a like washing up bowl, you know, boil up a bit of water or whatever, like whatever temperature you need, and then just get a bit of like powder, a bit of like washing liquid. Because obviously there is people that they'll be on the road, say months at a time or a few weeks at a time. But there is actually, you've seen the wash machines.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen it, some of the services I do see wash facilities now.
I've only noticed there's one in Cobham.
But they only seem to be recent. They don't seem to be, I don't remember seeing them like 5-6 years ago.
I know, you got one in Swindon Truck Stop. I've never used them, so I can't like recommend them. But I know Swindon Truck Stop, mega services on the M4.
Yeah.
By the way, if you don't know where Swindon Truck Stop is, it's down behind the Sainsbury's on the A420. And then you got one I've noticed you got one in Cobham Services on the M25 on the south side, and that's they are around, but to be honest, I wouldn't want to be wasting my time or my break. Like I'd rather do it on a night because it's
it's very. I suppose it's very easy to just slip into that routine of
and it depends what time
going from steering wheel to bed.
Yeah, depends on like time of the year, like drying your clothes. But that's that. Ideally, you'd want enough clothes.
We can always get a line and hang it out the back.
Yeah, but really, like you'd want enough. Like, I used to do 4 or 5 nights a week, Monday to Saturday morning.
Yeah,
like but yeah, I used to just take enough clothes for the week.
No,
So like a pair of pants and a pair of socks,
Oh yeah, that's it. Turn them inside out.
That's it, inside out.
See how often you can switch them. Now, there's quite a common thing that a lot of people do talk about when it comes to being a driver, and like for example, there's TikTokers like Angry Dave and stuff who've done a bit of a speech on this particular subject, and it's drivers like mental health and their well-being.
Yeah.
So, obviously you might find thinking back on it, some parts might actually touch a nerve a little bit. So if you don't want to talk about it, you can.
No, you actually. I don't know.
Not can, so you don't have to.
I don't mind sharing it, but I know I spoke to you about it because I know you've suffered with mental health. I remember one time I've got a good, I had a good group of friends. We used to chat a lot as drivers.
So a lot of drivers over the years, they're known for using like CB radios and
now it's sort of gone to WhatsApp kind of groups or just like conference calls.
Yeah,
CB is sort of it's gone out the window now. I know a lot of.
Which realistically, like the way it's essentially done now is a lot safer because it's done through Bluetooth.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah,
you're not holding a radio talking.
You are right there, and I believe like obviously CBs were around like before phones. I imagine. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not that old. I know a lot of tipper drivers like down in the quarries use CB because they got no signal.
Okay.
And you can actually you've not done tipper work, have you?
No.
You can actually tune into the to like the shovel, like the loading shovel, and actually speak to him on CB.
Okay, so it's a good
which
form
is
of
really handy.
for them,
And if you go into a tight place, just let you know I'm coming through. Wait up there if anyone's on the radio.
I don't actually know. Were CBs banned? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
I think it might just be more of a rumour. I'm not sure.
But yeah, getting back to like mental health and stuff. Yeah, I had a good group of friends, like all drivers. We used to just go on conference call, and you could have like I think up to 6 people, but obviously you can have a WhatsApp group as well. And there was one particular time, a friend of mine wasn't chatting to me because he wanted to chat to his friend, who didn't want to talk to me, and another friend was busy. Another friend was say on holiday or something. And I've only experienced this like once, and I've never. I don't struggle with mental health.
Okay.
But this one particular time, I just felt really lonely and I just felt unwanted. I felt like no one wanted to talk to me, but they didn't realise because I couldn't get through to them.
Yeah.
And I actually put a post on Facebook, and I actually got a bit upset, which is not like me, no one wants, basically just fuck everyone, and excuse my language, and that's the one time, but there will be drivers out there that feel like that all the time, and it's not nice to feel unwanted, basically, and lonely.
And this is the thing, when you're driving all day, it can become a very lonely job.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a network of people to speak to, then you are on your own.
No,
the only thing you've got is your radio.
And you look forward to getting to, and this comes on to where sorry, my mind's gone blank because I'm just thinking. I bet any minute my container's being loaded. This comes to forgot what I was going to say now.
Human interaction.
Yeah, you're waiting to get to a delivery,
Yeah.
And then you get there, and they just, obviously, I get it, they deal with loads of people. They don't realise that you've been on your own for the last 3 or 4 hours
Yeah.
and not spoken to anyone, and you just want to have a little chat and a laugh.
Yeah.
But then they're just like, oh yeah, keys, bay 2, for example, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
it's very,
alright.
it's very like an abrupt or
Yeah,
rushed
that's
sort
it.
of
It can come
experience.
across quite rude, but it
Yeah.
would be very nice. Like, I know you've done a video on like receptionists. It would be very nice if someone's like, "Oh, good morning, good afternoon." Like, "Oh, how are you?"
Yeah, just a little bit of polite.
Like, I don't want to be treated like the king.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's like, it'd be nice to say hello, how are you? You know, morning, afternoon, evening. How are you today? Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, would you like to go on? You know, I'll take your keys or whatever. Go on bay 2. You know, like so on. But when you've been on your own for a few hours and it's like, oh yeah, keys, do this, do
Yeah,
that.
it's
like,
very
well, hang
abrupt
on.
and
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I do, because I'm quite a sociable person. I know you are as well.
Yeah,
like
same. Yeah.
And there's many drivers out there, which is quite nice when we go into places like Portbury. So we work on containers. A lot of this work in like Gateway and stuff is all digitized. So
Yeah,
essentially, there's no human interaction anymore.
Yeah, I've never been to Gateway, but I know exactly. It's a bit like you go to Cardiff, like Portbury, opposed to Cardiff. You go into Portbury, and you know, you see the guys there and the girls like Steph,
Yeah.
Ross, Jack and Pat. Like we all have a laugh.
And it's nice because they're obviously nice to talk to as well.
Yeah, and you see the same drivers, and you just get to know like who to say hello to, and you know, you can have a laugh with people.
Yeah.
Like, I have met a few friends, like they don't even work for our company, but I've made friends with them because I see them a lot. You know?
I mean, I've not been doing this very long, but I've made a few friends with like other companies. Other drivers from companies.
Yeah, that's it.
So like Gold Star, for example.
Yeah.
There's and Maritime. Like there's drivers that I'm like become friendly with.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's solely just through meeting
it's
nice,
or
like jobs like this.
Like on the scrap, it's like if you're broke down somewhere, if someone sees you on the side of the road, as long as it's safe to do so, I don't know if it happens all the time, but on the scrap in particular, I really felt it. Like, someone's always there for you.
Yeah,
you've got like a guardian angel. Like, I was broke down once, and shout out to Wingers. He was at Collier's at the time, and yeah, like he just pulled up. Right, Krusty, like what's up? And I'm like, oh, you know, like got this problem with the truck, and he's like, oh, I'll be able to sort that, you know, and like, yeah, you just got to look after each other, really.
So there's a good community, really.
Yeah, that's it.
That's one nice thing about this job.
Yeah.
Now, whilst you're going back to like mental health a little bit, were there any times where you actually felt like you were struggling with like not being around your family, or you know, that even whilst working days, like do you?
No, I got to be honest. Like, I got a boy now.
Mm-hmm.
He's my own. Obviously, when I was tramping, I had my stepdaughter Daisy. Although, like, obviously, I get on with Daisy, but we didn't have, like, I'm not her biological dad.
Yeah, okay.
So I felt like she had life before I was around, so I knew she could manage without me.
Yeah.
Like, she's got a dad, you know. But yeah, without like, getting too personal. Like, I felt like this was my time to go away and earn decent money, and then, like I said, long-term plan was to get a house and then try for a baby, and like successful.
So is it something now you think you'd be able to manage with a family?
No, I'd say when Ted's a bit older, when I've basically nurtured him, let's say, when I've been there for him, I feel like I could go back tramping again. I'm not saying I want to, but if I had to, I would.
Okay.
I'd find it a lot easier, I think, because I wouldn't wanna be away now, you know, from my boy.
It's funny you say that, because I'm a dad of 3 boys, and I'll be honest, they become more and more dependent on you as they continue to grow.
Yeah.
So the older they get, the more they depend on you, and I think
But when they're older, it's just like, oh, Dad, can I have a bit of money? Here
yeah,
you go,
I think that's
bank
when it comes to
transfer.
the teenage
Like
years.
you could do that for the other side of the world, you know.
Yeah.
What I would say though, like, we all have opinions, but
Yeah.
I know loads of people. They've got kids at home, and they're no, I'm away all week. It's like, well, do you not want to be there for your kids? It's like, well,
Yeah.
like a good friend of mine, Ben, he says they don't know any different, which I get. But wouldn't it be nice if you could be there full time?
Yeah,
but
there's always an argument of they probably would if the opportunity was there. Like if they had the opportunity to see you more, and then not see you, they'd probably notice the difference.
But the thing is, some people, all they see is pound signs.
Yeah,
they just think of the money. Where
it's very difficult. To weigh
financially, I'm okay with what we're earning. But you get some people, they're like, nah, I can't take, say, £200 a week pay cut, you know?
So on the subject of money, I know we briefly touched on it. Although this is relating to trucking as a tramper, but within the industry itself, a lot of people tend to have this as a focal point of discussion. How do you see the money at the moment, and that's just working as a day driver as opposed to tramper? Do you think it's so? Obviously, we can't really discuss what we're on, and discuss other companies as such. But do you think the money at this moment in time is adequate for what we're doing?
Yeah, like, I'm not going to turn around and say I'm not one of them. You get some drivers is like, oh, I'm a driver, like, oh, it's like, again, like, yeah, but you're not the king, are you? You know, like, there's thousands of lorry drivers out there.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be like,
because it's quite a busy market, really, or like quite a popular job.
Overall, like, you know, the money's above minimum wage, obviously. I'm quite happy with the money I'm on.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I don't run a car at the moment. We've just got the one car. I live local to the yard.
Yeah.
So that's a big help. But then again, that's me personally. But a lot of people obviously drive to work.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm quite happy with the money I'm on, and I'm still saving money.
Okay,
I think as long as you still put money aside, and you're not in debt, you know, like, then I'm happy. What I do want to talk about, though, I don't know if you're going to raise the subject, but it's on my mind. A lot of people's like, so you're on the road all the time, like, where'd you go to the toilet? You know?
That is so cleaning and toileting.
Yeah, I know I've told you before, but I'm going to say it for the camera for YouTube. This I've absolutely nailed. So what I used to do, and rubbish as well. Drivers out there, I got to be honest, and this is me having a go at you now, and you know who you are. It's absolutely disgusting. Like, if you got rubbish, just pull it in the bin.
Yeah.
Don't just chuck it in the lay-by, because you've seen loads of rubbish. And another thing as well, which
is one of my pet hates.
Yeah, people outside of the industry, they might not see this, but you get drivers, they pee in, like, drinks bottles, and they chuck it out the window.
Just going to pause it there 1 second. Right, we're back. We just had to move the trucks and stuff around, so we can finish doing this interview.
Yeah, so basically, big shout out to Deanne Goff and Andy Tilley. They clear all the lay-bys, which, like you said, they shouldn't have to do. So no need to litter, guys. Come on. What I used to do is carry I don't know what size, but a bin. I think it's like a 20-litre bin, about that size. I used to chuck it in the passenger footwear, or like seatbelted into the chair. And I used to just obviously put a bin liner in that, chuck all my rubbish in there. You could do that from the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And as well with all your food stuff, like on the night.
So I used to have a little, like a pedal bin sort of thing, but like that without a lid. Chuck a bin liner in, leave it in that.
Yeah, that's it. And the good thing is, like, and I actually made this habit. I'm not afraid to say it because I don't like litter.
Yeah.
And defecating in lay-bys and wherever. I understand. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. Sometimes you've got to. But until I got prepared, what I used to do is, I used to take, if I was caught short, yeah, I used to get the bin, put another liner in it, obviously take the rubbish out, put another liner in it, and basically just hover over the bin and defecate, to be honest. And then you're in the comfort of, like, you don't have to be squatting outside under the trailer, in the bloody trailer, you know, like.
So it's funny you talk about defecating, because that's one of the biggest things. As you can imagine, we're all human, so we got to be able to use the bathroom.
If you gotta go, you gotta go. No, and I used to have. Sorry, Joe, I'm just trying to cut it short because I know I'm gonna have to. Chip off
that's fine. That's fine.
But I used to carry I think it's a 10-litre, like a water butt.
Yeah.
Put that in your passenger footwell, and that heats up overnight, and you can use that to wash your hands. You used to have some hand wash in the door pocket.
Okay.
So you can wash your hands after. So you got running water. Because what you really miss as a tramper is, you don't really think, but running water, like, it is
just being able to have a wash.
And you can have a quick wash.
Because some of the service stations are disgusting.
Yeah, that's right. But then if you get caught somewhere and you want to have a wash, and you can only make it to a lay-by, you could at least have a wash. You've also got, like, camping showers. I know a lot of drivers, but I don't like the thought of standing on the catwalk half naked having a shower.
No, this is.
I actually had a shower in a rainstorm once, in a thunderstorm. That was just for a bit of attention on Facebook. But the video is out there.
Okay.
I used to carry. I'm just letting people know it's not tramped. Like, I used to carry wet wipes is essential.
Yeah.
Use them whatever you want, whatever for. But like, for example, now I got a fairly new tattoo, and I put a bit of sun cream on.
You gotta get the tattoo in.
So yeah, gotta get the tattoo in. 2 sec. Right, mate. Spot on. Thank you very much. Cheers. Yeah, gotta get that in. But I'm just saying, I got like sun. I don't usually use sun cream out on the road, but that's another thing. Carry sun cream.
Yeah. So.
But my hands are a bit greasy, so I need to wet wipe them off.
I know. I definitely need to start sun creaming, because this arm's darker than this arm. Yeah. You might be able to see in the video.
That's just because of your race. But yeah, I used to carry, so wet wipes is essential. And I used to carry like 5 2-litre bottles of water. Like, I'd say 2 litres is enough, and you could always like buy more out on the road.
On the subject of wet wipes, I think it's either Aldi or Lidl, they're now doing full body wipes. They actually sell them in their store quite cheap.
Yeah, and have you seen those instant ones? The ones you get wet.
Yeah.
And they foam up or something.
Yeah, so
like,
we used to use them a lot for like elderly patients. You can actually buy these things quite cheap off Amazon as well for it's like personal care. So if you consider, like, some patients need bed baths. Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's actually really good.
Yeah, I quite like the sound of a bed bath, but I'm gonna have to wait like another 30-40 years.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta wait a long time yet.
So anyway, I'm gonna have to shoot off, mate.
Alright, well, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
Pleasure as always. We'll catch up with Krusty again.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks, everyone. I've been Dan Smith. Thank you. Good night.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I know it's probably a lot to take in at the time, but as you know, there's so much to talk about, and there's so many different aspects and different ways of life for you doing this job. But the goal was to give you just a little insight on what it's like as a tramper, and I'm sure we'll get to know some more like detailed stories about what Dan has been up to. As I'm sure you're aware, and you can probably tell, some of them are going to be quite funny and interesting. So we will catch up with Dan again soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying this channel. If there's anything you do want to ask or get any questions to other drivers, I do plan on interviewing different drivers that have got different experiences. So that's what this is all about at the end of the day. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on my next video. Peace.